Trevor Lawrence next. Trevor Lawrence, another quarterback. He's young. He drafted number one overall, came out as kind of this next big thing, right? This was supposed to be the quarterback that was gonna be a staple in the NFL, and he hasn't shown that yet. His numbers have been lackluster at best. Obviously, it's the quarterback market, right? He's gonna get paid top dollar. He is the best option the Jaguars have at quarterback. Going to find a quarterback in the draft is such a hard game to play in this NFL, especially with how fast the jump is or how big the jump is from college to the NFL. I think the hope is that Trevor Lawrence can start to put it all together. He's shown at times that he can be a great quarterback, but he's also shown his inability to kind of close out games. I think the game that pops out to me is the one against the Chargers in the playoffs. Right, they had that big lead and they just blew it. So we'll kind of see what the Jaguars do. Um, again, I think similar to Tua, I think it's a bit of an overpay. He is younger. I think he has a slightly bigger upside than Tua does. Um, but overall, the NFL QB market, the amount of money a lot of quarterbacks get paid, I think most of the times it's going to be easy to say that it's an overpay. And in this case, I agree. Both Tua and Trevor Lawrence are overpays.
Yeah, I mean, if when you look at statistically for Trevor Lawrence, he's honestly like the most mid QB.
Mid,
He's
average,
yeah,
everything.
like his stats are completely average for the most part.
I think up until like
And
week 15 last week, or maybe it was like week 13 of last year, he and Mac Jones borderline had identical stats to the start of their
yeah,
careers, which is a crazy
I
concept to
mean,
think
it
about.
doesn't help that obviously didn't win a game his rookie year where they had Urban Meyer and the disaster that Urban Meyer
Yeah.
was. But I mean, I know his O line has not been great. He's been getting pressured a shit ton, and he just hasn't really performed well in the pressure. He's had some offensive pieces, especially last year, where you have Calvin Ridley, you have Christian Kirk, you have ETN, you have Ingram. And you obviously lose Calvin Ridley this year. You bring in, what did they bring in? Gabe Davis, right?
Yes.
As their long guy. So I mean, you still have some weapons there. I think it all depends on if he has time in the pocket and whether he can get those passes off. But I mean, I do have concerns. With a lot of these quarterbacks are getting paid, it's obviously big money. But he's young. I still think he can improve. I don't know if he's a Joe Burrow type money guy. He's again struggled for the most part of his career. So if he gets a better O line and he can stay in the pocket and we can see what he can do with that, maybe it'll all be worth it. So
Yeah. But I think the thing with Lawrence is eh, like Gnome was saying, like it's the whole like big game situation type guy. And that's what you need behind center. And yeah, he was an absolute stud in college. He had a fantastic year statistically last year. Did end up with a little bit of an injury there towards the end of the season, and that definitely could have had an effect on how the Jags ended the season, which was kind of in shambles. I think them getting just manhandled by Tennessee that last week when they had a shot to, actually make it into the postseason, and he just didn't have it. You know what I mean? And this was a regular season game. Yeah, playoff, atmosphere, implications, all that, but like you got to have someone behind center who's not going to, get sucked into the moment. You know what I mean? Like you want someone who's going to be there and like focused and, you know, actually prepared. So he needs to work on that a little bit, but you can teach that. You can't teach talent. You can't teach, arm strength. You can't teach, shit like that. But we'll see how he does this season. But so far, he hasn't really proven that he has any ice in his veins.